Hi there. This video is designed to answer some questions about rope clamps. Specifically, how do you put them together? How do you use them? We've had some customers request this video, so to answer your questions, here we go. We're going to jump right into it. First thing we got to do first off is the disclaimer. Rope clamps, just so you know, are not designed for any application where you've got heavy-duty lifting, pulling, towing, hauling, or anything like that. If you're somebody that wants to use a rope clamp for a climbing line or safety lanyard or anything for personal life support or safety like that, don't do it. They're not safe. That's not what they're designed to do. Get a rope spliced if that's your specific application. However, as you know, rope clamps are a great option if you can't splice the rope yourself. If you're out in the field and you need a quick loop on the end of the rope, if you want to make the dog leash or the halyard on a ladder. We got a lot of fire departments that use 1/4 inch or 3/8 solid braid nylon, put the rope clamps on there to pull up the ladders, the light duty ladders. The dog leashes, of course, are popular, like I just said, and light duty dock lines, anchor lines, anything like that where you're really not production critical on this loop on the end of the rope. If you do need something like that, give us a call here. We've got a splicing department, and we can take virtually any rope and put a splice on it that's much, much stronger than what the clamps are. So, with that out of the way, we'll get to it. And when you order a rope clamp from us and we ship it to you, it's going to look like this. In the past, it would have come to you from us in the component parts. We would have disassembled it for you. You would have gotten the 2 pieces and the screws. Nowadays, we ship them like this because in the past, the screws were getting lost. So the first thing you'll need to do is take the rope clamp apart. It's not too difficult to do. I already did it here for the sake of time on the video. And the tools that you're going to need to work on these clamps are pretty straightforward. Phillips screwdriver, and you'll definitely want a hand screwdriver to get things started on the rope clamps. And then if you want to, a power driver to really drive them home. I use this one, it's pretty handy, but even if you have a cordless drill or something and you put a Phillips drill bit in there, it works the same way. The other thing that you might find handy is a pair of cutters. When we ship rope from Knot and Rope Supply, we'll tape the ends of the rope. And that's one thing some guys get wrong right out of the gate. They'll actually try to use these rope clamps without having the ends of the rope taped. The rope will actually be fraying, and it won't work that way. So to save you the trouble, make sure that your rope is taped and cut neatly before you even do that. I'll show you right now how to tape and cut rope. Some people ask us this, so it's really quick and easy. My advice to you would be to get electrical tape. It works great, and it compresses the rope slightly when you do this. It just makes things a lot easier. The shears that we use, we buy from Sears. Shears from Sears. They're called Handy Cuts, maybe 20 or 30 bucks. They cut the rope great. It's fast, it's easy. Definitely look into it if you are cutting a lot of rope. So the mistake a lot of guys do on these rope clamps, and if you look at the overhead camera, you'll see what we're talking about here. You've basically got these 2 portions. One is going to have threads in it, the bronze threads here, and the other one is not going to have threads. It's where the screws go through. What some guys will try to do is they'll put the rope in the clamp this way, and if they go this route, then they're having to force the screw through the rope, and it really becomes difficult. It's almost impossible at that point. The way that you'll have more success doing it, again, if you look at the overhead here, you'll see that by pushing the rope down around the screws, it gets that out of the way. So the screws are going to be in place. You don't have to fight it through the rope. You're putting the rope around the screws themselves. So the first step is to put one end of the rope in there. Measure whatever size loop you want. You can go large, you can go small. It really doesn't matter. The choice is up to you. The one piece of advice I will give you, however, is to make sure that your rope is not twisted at this point. I've seen guys really make some great rope clamps. They get done, they did a fantastic job, but the rope is twisted, so it looks terrible. Save yourself the headache. Make sure the rope's not twisted as you put it in here. You'll thank me later. So now I made sure the rope's not twisted. We have a kind of decent sized eye loop on there. Press the rope down into the clamp. At that point, all you have to do is come back with the other half of the clamp, set it over that. This is where the hand screwdriver comes in handy because very rarely is that screw going to line up perfectly with the threads. It's going to be off a little bit, it'll be tilted. It's easy to adjust and bring it to where you want it to be by using the hand screwdriver here. You just line it up. First few twists just to make sure the screw is engaged in the threads. I'll come back and do this one. Same way. It'd be difficult to see on video, but you can actually look through that threaded part and make sure that the screw is lining up with the screw hole. And you'll tell right away. I mean, it's threaded in there. Everything's going fine. In this case, we're using 3/4 inch double braid nylon on a 3/4 inch clamp. I picked this size for two reasons. Number one, it's going to look better on camera because you'll be able to see it better. Secondly, the larger diameter ropes, especially double braid nylon, can sometimes be a little tricky only because you're putting a lot of rope inside that clamp. Occasionally what will happen as you're bringing this thing together is the rope might want to squeeze out a little bit and get on the seams of the rope clamp. It's just something to watch out for. If you're aware of it in advance, you can keep an eye on it, and that's why you're watching this video, so you can pick up on the hot tips like that one. I've got a little special tool here from our splicing department. A slotted screwdriver would do the same thing. All I'm doing is just making sure that it's pressed down in there neatly, and that one isn't so bad. It's pretty straightforward. Now that those screws are engaged in there, we can come back with a power driver, close it all up, and one thing that I've found from doing tons and tons of these, I don't tighten the first part and then go down to the second one completely. I alternate between the two, tighten a little bit here, tighten a little bit there. It just makes things a lot easier. And that's really all there is to it. 3/4 inch double braid nylon on a white 3/4 inch rope clamp. It's literally that easy, as long as you follow those guidelines that I mentioned earlier. Lay the rope around the screws first and then close the top on top of that. You should have no problem. And again, if you look at it from the overhead camera, that's what it looks like. It's pretty straightforward. And no matter what size you use, they all work the same way. I also pre-made some rope clamps using different types of rope. As I said earlier, the more popular ones are the nylon ropes, solid braid or double braid or even 3-strand. Those are very, very popular ropes to use with the rope clamps. Occasionally, some people will want to use polypropylene on a rope clamp. This is yellow polypropylene, and Promanil actually, it's a very similar type of product, works the same way. The tricky part with these ropes is that the fibers are very, very firm. Where the nylons can mesh and mold and fold inside those rope clamps pretty easily, polypropylene ropes and some of the really firm polyester ropes don't do this as well. They're not my favorite to use with rope clamps, but some guys like to use them. That's what they look like when they're done. And this gives you a really good example, and I'll hold that to the camera, and hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm talking about between that one and the double braid nylon. These are both 3/4 ropes. And rope is unique, and when you're using rope clamps, sometimes you'll see this manifest itself. Rope is not a dimensional product in the way that a 2x4 or angle iron or something like that would be, very closely dimensional, meaning the size is very consistent. Rope fibers vary from polyester to nylon, cotton rope, polypropylene. The way they're made on the machine can vary. Humidity can play into that. How much tension is on the rope can also affect the outside dimension of a rope. So just because this is a 3/4 inch rope, on the spool it says 3/4, on the website it says 3/4, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be 3/4 of an inch exactly to the thousandth of an inch. You can take this rope, or using our double braid nylon, if there's a lot of tension on here, those fibers will compress down a little bit, they'll get a little more narrow. If the rope is loosened up a little bit, it can enlarge a little bit. If you were to measure it now, it would be more than 3/4 of an inch. So that's just something to be aware of with rope clamps. If you have any questions on these, by all means, feel free to give us a call at Knot and Rope Supply, and we'll be able to help you out in any way that we can. I'm going to show you one last thing here, and this is kind of a cool thing. Earlier I mentioned fire departments that will use 3/8 or 1/4 inch solid braid nylon for halyards on rope ladders, and this would be to pull up the upper section of a ladder. A lot of times you'll see them do this, and you can put thimbles on the rope clamps as well, and that's kind of a cool thing. So now you've got the wear and tear on here of the thimble, or the wear and tear protection of the thimble on the rope clamp. In my opinion, I think that looks pretty cool. This is a rope that cannot be spliced, and putting rope clamp on there is really your only option. It looks great, and you get lots of color choices. You can do it in white. I chose red here, fire engine red, but that's how those guys go on there, and they're pretty cool. So that's how rope clamps go together. That's how they work. Very easy to use. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call at Knot and Rope Supply. Our direct phone number is 419-873-8300. Hit extension 1 for customer service, or you can look us up online at knotandrope.com. That's KNOTANDROPE.com. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.